Fought, we clawed, put ourselves in position to take advantage of a mistake that they made.
And UConn got a steal. Caravan for Mullins. Long three. He got it. Oh, he got it.
When I saw him release, I was like, that really might go in. And, I went in, and the Indiana kids sent us to Indianapolis.
You just got to let March Madness.
Point lead, UConn mounting the comeback. And like I said to Open, CC, that's one of those moments that's not only in the One Shining Moment video for this season, but that we are going to remember forever. When you're talking about big-time tournament moments, big-time tournament shots, that one is right up there. Braylon Mullins, the UConn freshman, as you said, the Indiana kid with the shot at the end to send the Huskies to Indianapolis for the Final Four. And yes, they're going to face my Illinois Fighting Illini. And we're going to get into Illinois and their big victory over Iowa and more about that game coming up.
It was cute.
It was cute.
It was cute. It's cute. I mean, when you compare it to what we saw yesterday afternoon, you have to call it cute. I mean, that was an all-timer game, and that's what we see from these two teams, right?
Yes.
Because this is the fourth game between Duke and UConn that was decided by 3 points in the NCAA tournament. And all of those games had national championship implications at stake.
Yep.
The winner of those games went on to play in the national championship game. Didn't necessarily win it, but they went on to play it if it wasn't the national championship game itself. So when those two teams tangle, that it's going to be some smoke. And we suspected when the brackets came out that this was going to be the eventual matchup in the Elite Eight. Dan Hurley's program, with Alec Caravan and all of that experience coming in and playing against the star-studded Duke squad under John Shire. And credit to John Shire because he's done a phenomenal job, too, at Duke. This is his third Elite Eight, and dude ain't 40 years old. So tip of the cap to him. But when you look at the UConn program, I'm not sure that there's any coach in college basketball, maybe in all of college sports, that gets more out of his talent than Dan Hurley. Now, I'm not saying that he's got nondescript guys. He's got 5 stars. He's got NBA talent just like everybody else. But it's their poise and their composure in the critical moments, their overall execution, and how they wear people down at the end, how they walk people down at the end, that makes you realize that there is something special in how he gets his teams to play this time of year. At this point, we have to acknowledge that it's academic for Dan Hurley to go through the NCAA tournament and get his team to the championship rounds because he does it damn near every season.
Well, I can't wait that it's my team that he's got on deck next.
I'm sorry, Smalls. I don't know what you want me to say.
We're going to get into that, CC. Okay, much more on Hurley and how he is perhaps the big game coach of the moment right now. We're going to talk about Duke blowing the double-digit lead. But let's isolate the shot, CC, because that Braylon Mullins shot truly is one of the greatest shots and the greatest finishes that you're going to see in this tournament. But obviously, the shot was received differently from the UConn side and from the Duke side. So we are going to isolate the shot and listen to the hometown call from UConn and from Duke. So first up, let's hear it from the UConn side. This is Mike Crispino with Learfield.
Now ahead to Caden Boozer, and a steal. Mullins gets it. It's Caravan to Mullins, long-range three. Oh! It went in! Mullins delivers. Bedlam here.
They're going to go to the monitor to review it.
Absolute bedlam as Mullins threw a 45-footer in.
So you hear the joy in the voice there. What about on the Duke side? This is David Shoemate from Learfield. This is the Duke call.
Bobbled it back for Sarr. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Tried to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical. But with 0.3 of a second to go, Connecticut has the lead. 73-72. As Connecticut got the 3 from Mullins after the turnover from Caden Boozer.
More defeat, obviously, in that second call. And you can understand why, because Duke is the first 1 seed, CC, in the NCAA tournament to blow a 15-point halftime lead. If you look at their peak in-game win probability for their last 4 losses, it's jarring. 2025 Final Four versus Houston. They had a 97.5% win percentage in that game. They were up 59-45 with 8:17 left. Then we go to December 2025 versus Texas Tech. They had a 97.8% 8% chance to win that one. They ended up losing. They were up 60-46 with 15:09 left. We go to February of 2026 versus UNC, 95.1% chance to win, up 49-38 with 15:59 left. And then obviously the loss yesterday versus UConn, they had a 98.7% chance to win that game per our stats and info at ESPN. They were up 50-33 with 17:21 left. So I ask you the age-old question, did UConn mount the comeback or did Duke fall apart?
The answer is yes. And Duke has proven that nobody can do less with more. Since they won a chip last in 2015, the Blue Devils have signed 36 five-star players.
Oof.
36.
That's incredible.
We give Coach Cal a lot of guff for not being able to come through in a big spot when you got NBA talent all over the place and you consider the year-over-year acquisitions of your program. And Duke is in that same boat rowing with him. Like they just don't come up with the big plays, the big shots when they need them the most. In yesterday's game, just hold on to the ball. If you're Caden Boozer in that spot, why try to make the pass? Hold on to the ball. Time is on your side. Make them foul you. You didn't. You forced the issue, and then all of a sudden you leave the door ajar for Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies, and them boys know what to do with it. They've proven it year over year.
That's right.
So that's the part where I look at Duke and I say, man, you did it to yourself. It was DEJA BLUE. The same thing happened last year in the Final Four. You're up 6 points with 1:14 to go against Houston, and you wilted under the pressure. You wilted under the press. You made the inexplicable turnovers that are uncharacteristic of your team the entire year, and it cost you a game. Yesterday in the second half, Duke had 8 turnovers, and UConn made them pay every single time. Those are the mistakes that you can't make if you're in the championship rounds. I mean, listen, they got out to an amazing start in yesterday's game. The Boozer twins damn near had 30 points in the first 20 minutes of the game. They did a great job of moving the ball. They found the open man off of double teams. It was all rolling in Duke's favor. And then all of a sudden you see it unravel. And you hate to attribute this to such a storied program, but there's a little bit of a choke factor when it comes to Duke basketball. And it spans the end of Coach K's tenure there, and it's bled over into Jon Scheyer. So for as good as he's done at following up a legendary coach, it still hasn't eclipsed the bar too clear when it comes to the standard of Duke basketball and what has been established the previous 4 decades.
And the mistakes and falling apart in these big games are even more glaring when you're going up against Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies.
Yeah.
Because going up against a Hurley coach team, your margin for error is so slim. As you said, any time that there was a mistake from Duke, UConn was there to pounce on it and make them pay. So going into it that this is a probability. And it's just... Yes, you can recruit all the talent. Yes, you're Duke. Yes, you're a #1 seed. But we're watching time and time again them mount these big leads and big games, and we see that erosion. And I give all the credit in the world to UConn for the poise that they showed and mounting that double-digit comeback, the poise from Braylon Mullins at the end of the game to take that shot, incredible. And I had to say, CC, I felt bad for Caden Boozer at the end of the game when he was getting interviewed, and he said, I let my team down, because his turnover obviously set up the Mullins game winner, and he said, it was my fault, I let my team down, and you don't want the young man to carry all that. Here's Jon Scheyer. Oh, go ahead, CC.
No, go ahead,
Here's Jon Scheyer, Duke's head coach, on the turnover possession and who's to blame for Duke's loss yesterday.
We just have to secure it, right? I mean, we got it. They had a foul. I was ready for a timeout, and we just got to hold on. And, it's easy to look at that play. I look at every play that happened, especially in that second half. This is not about one play. It's about every play to put us in that position. And that's what you don't want to do. Where one play, something can happen. And so for me, look, it's going to be tough. But it's not going to be on one play.
Yeah, I mean, that's the classy way to handle it if you're Jon Scheyer. You don't want to pin it all on one kid. And, these guys come in with huge expectations, especially the Boozer twins, and those dudes have lived up to it. You just hate to see the critical moments in the game go against them in that fashion, because that's not representative of how they've played all year long. But unfortunately, it is representative of what this Duke program has become since their last run to a national title. I mean, since 2015, they have not played in the national championship game. The freshman class at Duke was in 2nd grade the last time the Blue Devils were playing for it all. And that's not what we know them to be.
Right.
Carolina just fired their coach, Hubert Davis. They've played for a national championship more recently than Duke has, which is incredible to think. They've won a national championship more recently than Duke has. So how far the mighty have fallen, but then also on the other side of that coin, you see the greatness of Dan Hurley, somebody that hasn't lost a game in the Sweet 16 or later in the NCAA tournament. This dude is undefeated in Sweet 16 or later in the NCAA tournament.
That's nuts.
That's hard to do considering how much they get to this round of the NCAA tournament, this weekend of the NCAA tournament. So tip of the cap to Dan Hurley and everybody that is affiliated with his program. It is a true mark of greatness to see them come through in that spot. You don't know how they're going to do it, but you know that they're going to find a way. And that is an awesome trait to have, especially when you get to this time of year.
Let's dive more into that. We've got more on Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies, but this NCAA tournament update was brought to you by Marriott Bonvoy. Traveling for game day? I know I am. I'm going to Indy. Make Marriott Bonvoy your home base for pregame moments and postgame stories. Marriott